What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Big Fight Field channel, where we speak the truth, we're honest, and we give our takes on the Miami Dolphins. Your Miami Dolphins, they beat the San Francisco 49ers 29-17. They are now 7-8 on the season. There are still delusional ass fans out there that are holding on to hope for them to make the playoffs this year. It's not happening. Spoiler alert. Don't get it up. I'm not even wasting my time. I have this feeling after this game. Number one, I've never felt so lifeless in my life watching a Miami Dolphins game. I'm like sitting on the couch. I'm watching the game. And it's like watching the Philadelphia Phillies play the Miami Marlins on a Tuesday night in April because there's nothing on the television. That's what I felt like watching this game. I just felt like I'm watching a mid-off between two teams that are 6-8 and going absolutely nowhere this year because there's nothing better on and my team's playing. This team brings no excitement. They're so predictable, man. It's wild. What happened to the Miami Dolphins that I fell in love with so much last year and 2 years ago? Last year, yeah, even though it was a horrible ending to the season, that was the most fun. Last year was the most fun I've ever had watching the Miami Dolphins. Then you fast forward to this year, and this is probably the most bored I've ever been watching the Miami Dolphins in a single season. Uninspiring, dull, predictable. You know what's happening with this team. They can't beat the good teams. They can't get it done when it matters. They destroy shitty teams at home. It's so predictable. And I'm telling you right now, I've never been this upset that they're 9 and that they won. Because now that's going to hurt their draft position. Today, going into the game, they were drafting 11th. Now they're drafting 13th. Let me tell you something. We have the worst safety combination in the entire NFL. We need a safety. There's a really good fucking safety that plays for the Georgia Bulldogs right now that needs to be a Miami Dolphin come late April. We cannot win these games because if we win these games, we're not going to be able to draft that star safety. His name, Malachi Starks. If you don't watch college football and you don't know who Malachi Starks is, go look him up. Javon Holland, I have no idea what the issue is, but he has fallen off so much from last year. It's not even, it's comical. It's straight up comical how much Javon Holland has fallen off the past 2 years. From last year. It's insane, man. We need help. Guards, safeties, defensive linemen, insiders, not pass rushers. We need help. And let me tell you something, too. I don't give a shit that we won this game. Mike McDaniel coached like a fucking sissy in that second half. The first half, I was fine with. I actually thought they played well in the first half. But in the second half, he coached like a bitch. You're up 16-10. Cool. It's third down. You don't get it. 4th and 1. You go for it. Your season is over. Are you serious? You're coaching conservative. You're coaching passive. Your season's over. You got nothing to lose. And you're kicking field goals on 4th and 1. Stop it. We'll fast forward. We're up 19-17. It is third and 5. And we run the ball straight up the middle. This guy settled for a fucking field goal when the 49ers offense was marching up and down the field on us. Now, granted, Jason Sanders was money all day. 5 for 5 on field goals. Player of the game. His performance reminded me exactly of the game like Dallas last year. Jason Sanders carried that offense against the Dallas Cowboys last year. But Mike McDaniel coaches like a bitch. And when you have a head coach that's going into year 3, I feel like in the 3rd year you really find out who they are, who the identity of the team is. If Mike McDaniel comes back, we're going to get the same shit we did this year. Because we were 2-4 when Tua Tagovailoa came back, and we lost by a point to the Cardinals, 3 points to the Buffalo Bills. We weren't ready for the Packers. We weren't ready for the Texans. You can't beat the good teams when it matters most. And that's Mike McDaniel. That's Tua Tagovailoa. That's Chris Greer. So, for all you fake-ass fans, enjoy this. I see the bigger picture of this franchise. They need to lose. They need a better draft pick than 13. And I don't trust Chris Greer to draft the right player. And the right player to draft is Malachi Starks out of Georgia. I don't trust him to do that. And as far as this game goes, I don't care. Cool. Great. You beat a banged up 49er team. Awesome. Good for you. So now we're 7-8, and we face the Cleveland Browns next week in Cleveland. I'm sure that's going to be another uninspiring win for this Miami Dolphin team. So, I don't really care, but we'll go over the game, we'll go over stats and everything, all that. Around the league, nothing really much happened. The Panthers played awesome against the Arizona Cardinals. That was a really fun game. 36-30 over Arizona. Indianapolis beat Tennessee 38-30. They were up 38-7. Tennessee was coming back, but Indy stopped it, said not so much. The game of the day, though, was Washington and the Philadelphia Eagles. 22 points from Jaden Daniels and the Commanders' offense in the second half. Daniels, 5 touchdown passes. 5 touchdown passes. And for people who say, "Oh, they beat Kenny Pickett," okay, Kenny Pickett does not play defense. Kenny Pickett, when he was in there, the Eagles scored 26 points on offense. That's pretty damn good, man. That's pretty dang good. The stats, they don't pop up as anything special, but he played well enough to win the game. The defense is what blew it for the Eagles. And then the Raiders might have fucked themselves out of the number 1 pick by beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Giants are full-on tank mode for Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, whoever they want, and they're going to get the number 1 draft pick. That draft pick is going to belong to the New York Giants. They're tanking. They're doing it the right way, and they're going to be in a big spot come April. So let's get into some stats here for the game. Brock Purdy, 26 of 40, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That was the game-sealing interception by Kader Kohou inside the 2-minute warning. Not really worth going over their rushing stats. Brock Purdy had their most rushing yards. Their rushing game is pretty much non-existent. They had 81 rushing yards on the ground. George Kittle and Deebo Samuel both had big games, though, through the air. George Kittle was 8 catches, 106 yards. Deebo Samuel was 7 catches, 96 yards. Jawan Jennings is 4 catches, 51 yards. And Ricky Pearsall was 4 catches for 37 yards. And for their defense, they did not get a sack. So that's a good thing. Tua Tagovailoa, 22 of 34, 215 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Devon Achane, Dolphins. I feel like since, the Colts game, I don't even know. But they've had one of the worst running games of the whole entire, in the whole NFL this season. Today, they had 166 rushing yards, which was a great performance for the running game. Devon Achane had 17 carries, 120 yards, and 1 touchdown. Raheem Mostert had 8 carries for 31 yards, and the Dolphins' running game was phenomenal today. Devon Achane had 6 catches for 70 yards. Jonnu Smith had 6 catches for 62 yards. Tyreek Hill had 3 catches, 29 yards, and a touchdown. I'm telling you right now, he's not fully into it. He was not locked in during this game, Tyreek Hill. He's out of it, I think. I think he's out of it. And then for the Dolphins, Jordan Brooks had a sack. Zach Sealer had a sack. Chop Robinson had a sack. So they had 3 sacks. Chop now has 6 sacks on the season. And Zealer has 8.5. So a couple more, and he's going to get that big number 10 for sacks on the season. One of my favorite players on the Dolphins this season is Zach Sealer. So, we will talk a little bit about the college football playoff when I'm done with this game. We will talk about the college football playoff from Friday and yesterday's games. I was thinking about going on and talking about it after the Tennessee-Ohio State game, but I was so stinking tired last night after watching that Ohio State game. That I felt like that game took forever. And I don't know if it was because it was a blowout, but Jesus Lord, that game took a very long time. And it's like it is 11:40 and the game is just getting over. And by the time I'm done filming and I get this up, it's going to be 1 a.m. No, I'll just do it after I talk about the Dolphins game against San Francisco. So you will get my thoughts on that. And let's run down this game. Let's run down this game, shall we? Why not? There's only 2 more of these after this. So, I guess enjoy the post-game recap videos while you can, 49ers, they went 3 and out. They got the ball first. The Dolphins, they went 5 plays and 12 yards. Second down, Tua went to Devon Achane for 12 yards, and they went 3 and out. After that, Tyreek Hill dropped a pass on 3rd down. Awesome. San Francisco, they went 5 plays, 4 yards, and punted. First play, Purdy to Jawan Jennings for 11 yards. There was a holding call. There was a false start. Purdy got sacked by Jordan Brooks. So there was some key penalties from San Francisco to make the drive go backwards. And the Dolphins, they get the ball next. and they went 8 plays, 44 yards. We'll go 1st and 10 at the Dolphins 42. Tua Tagovailoa to Devon Achane for 11 yards. Tua deep down the middle to Achane for 20. Just got them down to San Francisco 27. They go 3 and out after that Achane first down, and Jason Sanders makes a 44-yard field goal. That's a very consistent thing that happened during this game, was Jason Sanders making field goals. San Francisco, this is in the second quarter now. 10 plays, 70 yards in just a little over 4 minutes. Brock Purdy went to Ricky Pearsall for 21 yards. 3rd and 5, Purdy to Pearsall for 5 yards. And then Miami on 4th down got called for too many men on the field. That's absolutely the coach's fault. And then this play, Purdy did a screen pass to Patrick Taylor, who was the running back for San Francisco on the day, and it got tipped. It was going to the ground. Benito Jones tried to make the interception. They originally thought he did, and Mike McDaniel, of course, he challenged it, and it was upheld. The ruling on the field stood. Mike McDaniel, in his 3 years here at the Dolphins, has won 4 challenges. That's it. 4. That's sad. 3rd down, Purdy to Deebo Samuel for 17 yards. They couldn't bring him down. He's a freight train out there. 2nd down, Zach Sealer makes a great sack on the Purdy by the ankle. It makes it 3rd and 8. And what does the defense do? What does Anthony Walker, Jordan Poyer, and Javon Holland do to reward Zach Sealer? They have Deebo Samuel wrapped up. Javon Holland has him wrapped up, and Deebo Samuel took him to a trip for 5 yards right into the end zone. I'm telling you right now, man. Jordan Poyer and Javon Holland is the worst safety combination in the NFL. And you know what the sad part about this is? We had 2 very, very good safeties on our team last year. Brandon Jones and Deshaun Elliott. And what does Chris Greer do? He lets both of them walk. We have Javon for another year, but we sign old-ass Jordan Poyer. We sign Marcus May. We cut Marcus May. He gets an interception in his first game with the LA Chargers and is playing well. Only the Miami Dolphins can fuck up something that they had so well and turn it into absolute shit. As far as I'm concerned, Javon Holland, don't bring him back. I'm being so serious. I'm so high on Malachi Starks. I would let Javon Holland walk, and please have a really good draft pick so that you can draft Malachi Starks in the first round, because he's going to be a top probably 11 through 12 range. So, please, I'm begging you. Malachi Starks in the draft, please, Greer. He's not going to get it right. I don't trust him. So it's 7-3, and the Dolphins go 11 plays, 49 yards. Tua went deep to Tyreek Hill for 24 yards and got it. By far his biggest play of the game. Tua's biggest pass of the game was that. Devon Achane gets an 8-yard pickup. Tua to Jonnu Smith for 8 yards. Devon Achane for 7 yards to the right. Incomplete. And then first down to Malik Washington for 5 yards. We got a holding call on Robert Jones. It stalls out the drive. And Jason Sanders makes a 38-yard field goal to make it 7-6. Miami Dolphins. San Francisco, they go 3 and out after a false start. And then they get 2 penalties on the punt. So Miami starts at their own 32-yard line. Devon Achane for 7 yards. Tua Tagovailoa to Raheem Mostert. Same screen they've been running all season. Mostert picks up 13. Mostert to the right side for 21 yards. Devon Achane for 1 yard. Tua right down the middle to Malik Washington for 19 yards. He is our future number 3 wide receiver. The wide receiver room is going to be Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, and Malik Washington. For all the people that's saying cut Tyreek, trade Tyreek, they just restructured his contract. He's going to be here next year. Maybe after next year, we cut ties with Tyreek. But I'm fully confident next year Tyreek is going to be on this team. Devon Achane for 2 yards on 1st and goal and 2nd and goal. And on 3rd and goal, they throw right to Tyreek Hill, who's at the pylon for the touchdown. Miami up 13-7. And now San Francisco gets the ball with 3:20 left to go. And I thought for sure that they were going to go in and have the lead by halftime. They scored, but there was not a touchdown. Purdy to George Kittle for 24 yards. Purdy to Jawan Jennings for 16 yards. I'm like, here we go. They're going to easily get in the end zone. Purdy to George Kittle for 12 yards. 2nd and 7. Purdy to Ricky Pearsall for 8 yards. Deebo Samuel, 4 yard. And then incomplete on 2nd and goal. Incomplete on 3rd and goal. They settle for a 21-yard field goal. It's 13-10 going into halftime. So I thought the defense played well in the first half. The offense, they did fine. I thought 13 points against still a pretty good Niners defense was pretty good in that first half. Now we're at the second half. We're at the second half, and it's the Dolphins who get the ball first. 8 plays, 34 yards. We get unnecessary roughness by Taulana Hufanga on the first play of the half. So Miami's at their own 46-yard line. 2nd down, Tua to Jonnu Smith for 8 yards. And on 3rd and 2, they hand it off to Jeff Wilson for 6 yards. Man, they did not use Jeff Wilson enough this season, which I'm very upset about. Jeff Wilson for 6 yards again, then incomplete. Tyreek was open, just a bad throw by Tua. And then we get 13 yards to Tyreek Hill down the middle. A holding call on Aaron Brewer. And it's Tua to Achane for 8 yards. And Jason Sanders makes the 54-yard field goal. And the Dolphins go up 16-10. Niners, they're marching down the field. 9 plays, 47 yards. We'll go right here. 1st and 10 at the Miami 48. Right down the middle. Split between Anthony Walker and I believe it was Elijah Campbell for 28 yards. Then we get a 1st and 15. Incomplete to Deebo. Purdy up the middle for 7 yards. We get Purdy to Deebo for 16 yards, but Niners get called for illegal formation. It's 3rd and 13. Incomplete to Kyle Juszczyk. And the Dolphins catch a break because Jake Moody goes wide left, missing a 41-yard field goal, and it's still a 16-10 game. And then this drive frustrated me, watching it. 9 plays, 54 yards. They took up nearly 5 minutes off the clock. 3rd and 1, short pass to Tyreek, 1st down. Cool. Tua to Achane for 12 yards. 1st down to the 46 of San Fran. Tua to Jonnu Smith down the middle for 22 yards. Tua fumbled. but got right back on top of it. 2nd and 11. Tua to Jonnu Smith for 10 yards. And then this play. There was multiple instances in the game where it was 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2, and you were able to run the ball with Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert and pick up the first down. You refused to do it on this play. Instead, you throw a go route to Tyreek Hill in the end zone, and Tyreek Hill is fucking 5'9". Why would you throw that to him? And then, what pissed me off even more was it's 16-10. I don't give a shit that I don't give a shit that you go up by 2 scores. You're 6-8, playing for nothing. Why are you kicking this field goal? Just go for it. Who literally gives a hoot? Just go for it. But they didn't. Sanders made the 33-yard field goal. Miami went up 19-10. And we go to the fourth quarter, up 19-10. San Francisco, 9 plays, 60 yards. Deebo Samuel up the middle for 13 yards. That's after he caught a pass for 9 yards. So they're at the Miami 38. Patrick Taylor for 4 yards. Purdy to Deebo Samuel for 11 yards. And Kendall Fuller got injured on the play. That's the 3rd time he's been injured this year. In one season. 2 concussions. And now a knee injury. He fits perfectly with Chris Greer signing players who can't stay on the field and are injury prone. That's something else the Dolphins are going to have to address. Depth at corner. Because this guy's hurt all the fucking time. All the time. And then, 3 plays later, when it's 3rd and 1 at the Dolphins 14, Purdy to George Kittle for 11 yards. Jordan Brooks gets hurt on the play. Now, he looked fine on the sidelines walking up and down. He was wearing a hat. Maybe he'll play next week. He's probably the toughest guy we have on this team. But these guys were dropping like flies. And that's why we describe we have a soft team. Because of shit like this. So, Patrick Taylor up the middle for 1 yard, and then Purdy to Eric Saubert for 2 yards. It is 19-17 with 12 minutes to go. The Dolphins, they punt after 5 plays. They punt at their own 50. San Francisco starts at their own 10. First play, they get Kyle Juszczyk for 20 yards. And then they go 3 and out after that play. And then the Dolphins, they get the ball with 6.5 minutes to go. Up 2. 7 plays, 41 yards. We get a defensive offsides on San Francisco. We're at their own 44-yard line. 4 yards for Devon Achane. And then 5 yards for Devon Achane. And then Tua to Achane for 7 yards. Okay. 3rd and 3. I figure you pass the ball, maybe, to get the game out of reach. I don't fucking know. Force San Francisco to call a timeout. It's like ass backwards. When it was 16-10 and it was 3rd and 1, McDaniel should have ran the ball. And he should have went for it instead of kicking that field goal. And now, 3rd and 3, you're up 2. You want to ice the game a little bit. You should have thrown the ball here. Instead, you ran behind Robert Jones and you lost 2 yards. Fucking sissy-ass play calling from Mike McDaniel at its best. But Sanders makes the field goal, so who cares? 22-17 after a 48-yard field goal. Then we get Purdy to Jawan Jennings for 17 yards. Come back from a 2-minute warning. Purdy's getting pressure in his face by Calais Campbell, and it forces him to throw an interception right to Kader Kohou, who was touchdown at the 38-yard line. Kader Kohou, his biggest play of the season so far, and then 3 plays, 62 yards at the 50. Devon Achane, most of the season he's been doing these little runs here and there, and he'll pick up big yardage here and there, but he really didn't break one for the loose at all this season, and this is like the first time we've really seen that, and you forget how fast he is. My favorite player on the Miami Dolphins, Javon Holland, get out of here. Devon Achane. And the Dolphins win 29-17 over the San Francisco 49ers. Again, I had a hard time caring about this game. And I know I'm not the only one. So, we are 7-8, and the season is over in my opinion. I mean, who really gives a fuck? But whatever. I just want it to be over. I just want it to be over. Now, before we get out of here, let's talk a couple minutes about the college football playoff. Oh boy. I was really excited about these games happening this weekend. Indiana, Notre Dame, SMU, Penn State, Clemson, Texas, and then the big one was Tennessee and Ohio State. What did we get this weekend? We got uncompetitive games. Teams that looked like they didn't belong in the playoff, who we thought belonged in there. And we got the ACC getting absolutely trounced, which is not a shocker at all. Indiana is such a fraudulent team. I was dead ass wrong on them. I thought they would win in South Bend, and they got that interception on the first pass of the game from Riley Leonard, but then Curtis Rourke threw a terrible pass. Jeremiah Love ran for a 98-yard touchdown from their own 2-yard line, and really right there, it really wasn't over, but the game felt over after that 98-yard touchdown. And I really think that Curt Cignetti is being described as a coach of the year, and then he comes into this game and reminded me of Mike McDaniel in the second half today. Curt Cignetti, coached like a sissy. And he's resistant, he's passive, he coached a really conservative game, and you're down 17 in the fourth quarter, and it's 10:40 left, and you're putting the ball at like midfield, dude. Like, come on, man. Your fucking team needs some life. And then they punt the ball to Notre Dame, and guess what happens? Notre Dame kills 6 minutes off the clock, scores a touchdown, and once you know it, 4 minutes left, it's a 24-point game. They score 2 garbage time touchdowns, and they are a fraudulent-ass team. And what's crazy is that game was a snooze fest. 27-17. That was the closest game all weekend in college football. All weekend, that was the closest game. Then we get to SMU and Penn State, and I was not shocked by this one bit. Like, I did not think SMU was going to go into Beaver Stadium in front of 106,000 people and beat Penn State. Get the fuck out of here. The only thing I am shocked about, though, is the way Kevin Jennings performed. 2 interceptions returned for a touchdown. 3 interceptions on the day total. Again, just like the Jeremiah Love 98-yard touchdown, after the second pick six, the game really wasn't over, but ladies and gentlemen, the game was over. And SMU never saw the light at the end of the tunnel after that pick six. Penn State trounced SMU 38-10. Now they're going to play Boise State, and they're probably going to beat them too. We'll talk about that game next week at some point. And then we get to the afternoon game. Clemson versus Texas. Probably the best game of the weekend. It was really dominated most of the game, though. It was definitely the best head coach versus head coach matchup with Dabo and Sark. And then probably the best quarterback versus quarterback matchup with Cade Klubnik and Quinn Ewers. But Clemson scored a touchdown on their opening drive, and they really, after that, had no real momentum after that series. And their defense could not get a stop to save their lives in the first half. I mean, in the first half, Texas had 4 touchdowns. Their first 3 drives were touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Then they go turnover on downs. Then Quinn Ewers throws an interception. I'm like, okay, that's the Quinn Ewers we've known in a couple weeks. Maybe Clemson can get back in this game. Clemson has to settle for a field goal. Texas gets the ball with a minute and a half left. What do you think they do? Of course, they go down. They score a touchdown. It's 28-10 at halftime. The game is out of reach. But then Clemson starts crawling back. They go down 31-17. They have no run game, so Cade Klubnik is throwing the ball all over the field. He ended up with 336 passing yards. They get a couple stops on defense. They get a punt. They get a turnover on downs. They get another touchdown. So you're like, whoa. I thought this game was over at halftime. 28-10. Texas goes up 31-10. All of a sudden, after 2 drives from Cade Klubnik and Clemson, it's 24. They're down 31-24. But Texas gets the ball, and Jaden Blue goes off for 77 yards. And Texas goes up 38-24, and the game was over. Clemson goes turnover on downs twice to end the game. And, that was a dominated game by Texas. But that was probably, I guess, the best game of the weekend, which is kind of sad because, they strung you in like, okay, maybe Clemson has a chance, but then they get you, and Jaden Blue goes off for 77 yards, and Texas wins. And then Texas, now, they're going to go play Arizona State. I will be boots on ground for that game in Atlanta on New Year's Day. Texas is a 14-point favorite in that game. Now, I hope this doesn't happen because I will be there. And obviously, I want to watch an entertaining football game. But I've got a bad feeling about this one. I think Texas is going to mollywop Arizona State. But the biggest shocker to me was the night game. Tennessee and Ohio State. I expected this to be a really damn good game. We got a really damn horrible game. 42-17 was your final score. And just like the Texas and Clemson game, the first 3 drives from Ohio State was touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. They went up 21-0, and when they scored their 3rd touchdown, the game was over. That game was over in the first quarter. I turned on AEW right afterwards. Tennessee never got the run game really going. They had little bit of read option from Nico. Nico ran the ball 20 times last night. Dylan Sampson got hurt. That was huge. But Nico ran that ball 20 times last night. Tennessee's offense was... They couldn't pass the ball. Nico had 104 passing yards on 31 passes. Will Howard looked incredible. Their run game was awesome. Jeremiah Smith looks like the best receiver in college football. And now, it's like, congratulations, Oregon. You went 13-0, had an undefeated season. You are the Big Ten champions. You're the number 1 overall seed in the college football playoff. And your reward is playing Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Man, that's a kick in the nuts if you're an Oregon Ducks fan. Oregon, the team, they're not going to complain about it. But if you're an Oregon Ducks fan, that's a kick in the nuts. I'm sorry. But that's probably the most, I guess, eye-opening game in the quarterfinals. So, really, the thing is, these first-round games, duds. Terrible. Disappointing. These quarterfinal games, we got 4 of them. Penn State and Boise State. We got Texas and Arizona State. Ohio State and Oregon and Notre Dame and Georgia. Those games better live up to the hype that the quarterfinals is going to get. So, we will talk about it here on the Big Fight Field channel, but I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys for joining me. And if I don't make another video between now and Wednesday, hope you and your family have a great, great, great Christmas. Safe Christmas. Hope everybody gets the gifts they want. And just enjoy the day with your family. Enjoy the drinking. Enjoy the food. And I will catch you later. Hopefully before Wednesday. We will find out. But have a good one. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy. And let's go Dolphins.